New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello. It is Robyn
and Gil. And this is Rockin the Love, as it always is on Wednesdays at this time.
Actually, in another minute, our producer is trigger finger, so he's a little early today.
Oh, no.
In 1 minute, we will officially be Rocking the Love.
Absolutely.
Well, now hold it. It said on the screen that it was time to rock and roll. So rather than default to anything, I went ahead and just trusted my instinct.
That reminds me of our show, Girls Behaving Metaphysically, because it is a sign. Our producer was following the signs.
The sign.
So he was listening to the divine.
I was listening to the universe. All right.
Everywhere a sign, blocking out scenery, blowing your mind.
Do this, don't do that.
Can't you
read the sign?
Read the sign?
Boy, I'm really dating myself. Bye now.
All right, and that was a blast from past. And callers, if you know what that was, put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. That's
and
right.
Let us know that you are as old as we are. There you go.
Or you're a student of history. One of the two.
Or you're highly trained in musical. Oopsie, I gave it away. Okay, anyway, we are Robyn and Gil, Rockin the Love, and we're so glad you're here with us today. Today, we are we're going to be exploring a little bit about when people leave our lives too soon. And what?
Well, there are those that have left our lives and not done it soon enough. But what we're going to talk about today, well, we have a laugh track today. What we're going to talk about today is when someone makes their transition, someone moves on, and it's before we're ready. But, I don't know that we're ever super ready, but often we have some feeling about being ready.
It's true. So today is about saying goodbye when it's too soon. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to explore that. And before we do that, we're going to talk about our week.
Our week. We got to go to a house or a home warming for a brand new project in Albuquerque here for youth and young adults aging out of foster care, for supporting them in housing and getting jobs and getting life skills and all of that good stuff. And they're getting ready to open the first phase of it this next week. But they had a little thing yesterday. We got to take a little tour and look around and meet a few people. And it was really, it's just heartwarming to see that, in fact, sometimes we think that our cities, our governments, they're not doing anything that's helpful. And that's just not true. It's just not true. This has been an incredible project. They put a lot into it, and they've got a lot more to go, and they're still working on it. So it's exciting to see.
So it is truly a sign that there are good things happening out there. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, there's both good things. Yeah. And And good people are everywhere, and good intentions are many places. And so anyway, so that was a really cool thing this week. Enjoyed that a lot. We had a little Irish music to celebrate St. Paddy's Day on Friday night. That was fun. I don't know how many times a year I could take that, but it was fun.
Hey, you're talking about my Irish people.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why you have to drink beer,
Mm.
so that you can take it more.
But did you catch their thing? That many that a lot of the pubs, people are getting 0% alcohol beer instead of regular beer in Ireland. So there's a trend away from the traditional thing of thinking that people drink too much. So I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's good. It's
Maybe
healthier, I think.
Maybe it's just a bunch of expats that have moved there.
Maybe.
There you go.
Wimpy Americans.
No, it's all good. Whatever your choice, it's all good. My week was interesting. Lot of loss this week.
Yeah.
And a lot of just being present to what was happening in my body. But the good things I'm going to talk about is that we are one day, I'm talking one day away from baseball and opening season. And I'm so excited. And I got a new hat, which makes me even more excited. This hat makes me so excited. It was gifted to me by beloved friends and listeners, and Alvin and Louise, and it was so great. And the reason it's so great is because I really like baseball hats, and my favorite baseball hat was my pink one that I got at spring training, and my dog ate it. My dog ate my hat.
Your dog likes your hat.
Yeah.
She thinks it's great.
I mean, she did leave this part, but somehow it just didn't have the same appeal. So I am so excited to have my hat replaced, and it means so much more to me that it was given to me by these beloved friends. And I realized, I really do realize how excited I get about like baseball presents. I mean, yeah, that's all I need to say. But I think it's because when someone gives something like that to me, I know that they really know me. Like, it's not like, oh, they went out and got flowers, or my very favorite gift is my Dodger baseball Barbie. I love that Barbie so much. Let me be clear. I got it like 6-7 years ago. It's not like it was when I was 12. I'm not a Barbie advocate either. I don't even really, adhere to the Barbie-ism thing. But I love it because it's Dodger Barbie. I love it. So anyway, that's what my week has been like. Lots of loss. And the up part is it's time for baseball. And we get to go to opening day next week of the Isotopes, which is the Colorado farm team here in New Mexico.
Woohoo!
Yes. So I'm very excited. All roads lead to very much excitement. So
answer this question. Who does Dodger Barbie date? Does she date someone on the team?
You mean, or does she date like San Francisco Ken?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a good question. You may have just come up with a sequel.
For
the Barbie franchise.
Yeah, we can get the new thing that's the set of seats in the stadium where they're sitting next to each other and they're competing outfits. Her and the San Francisco Kid.
Stranger things have happened. Then who does Skipper root for? There's just so many questions, but we're not going to explore them today. We're going to stay on track and move right into good news. Good news, good news. Let's share the good news in this world we live in where so much is going on. We're ready to hear what's going on that's good.
Well, Earth Day is coming up. And so there's a group of teens that has a new an organization called Give Your Balls Another Bounce. And contrary to popular belief, it's not a rude thing. They're talking about pickleballs and tennis balls. And they are in it to eliminate tons of stuff out of the landfills. They're a group in Pacific Palisades, which is kind of funny. Pacific Palisades, California, and they're working with two different groups, two different organizations, companies, which take the balls and one of them recycles them into new pickleballs, etc. And the other one breaks them down and they're sent out and used in various different manufacturing things, anything from pots for nurseries, to all kinds of other things. And they're just having a good time recycling all these balls. Their goal is to have, I'm not sure how many they said they were going to have, but they want to turn in they want to culminate on Earth Day and in April 19th. And so it's kind of exciting. It's interesting that there are so many things that one can recycle. And I don't know, the problem I have in general is figuring out where the heck to do it and who's doing it and how you get it there, because it's not simple always. And so it's cool when somebody takes an interest and decides to at least focus on one thing that they know they can get and get it to where it needs to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Staying focused, as you know, can be one of our main challenges. So,
what are we talking about?
Us. That's not funny. So, my story is about a study that put together 200 voters for like 4 days together, and showed that they could change each other's mind and each other's opinions, and that they could find common ground in what they thought.
So they're much better than current elected politicians.
Generally the format of the show is that one finishes their story and then we banter about it.
Damn. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So yes to what you said. And so I that's exactly why I picked the story, because I really thought it was fascinating to have like 200 people from all different political backgrounds and walks of life that came together, as I said, for 4 days, and really just spent time through different thoughtful discussion and listened to speakers from all sides of something, and really just allowed it to happen, and their minds began to change, and to be able to have a conversation and hear each other and not take it personally. And they did. So in the study, it said, according to Politico, they did. They asked for support for collaboration to plan to adopt a net zero greenhouse gas emissions, and it rose from 42% to 55%. And also backing for national proposal to increase visas for low-skilled workers saw an increase of doubling from 25 to 50%. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And really just taking that space to listen and to be together. There was talk about voting, and that went from 61 to 71%. and especially it said among the Republicans, and then it said also conservative viewpoints also gained traction, and there was support for stricter voting ID, increasing from 68% to 73%, and with the most significant shift about through with Democrats. So there's more to the story, but that's basically it. And the part I really liked was just the opportunity or the willingness for people to be in that space and to be engaged in the conversation and open to the possibilities, because that's really what it's all about, and to be willing to entertain newness.
Yeah, that is the shift, the ultimate shift from the I know to I'm interested. Talk to me. Let me listen. Let me consider. And it's not even considering that I might be wrong. It's considering whatever information is coming in and seeing how it affects how you where you end up after you interject it into your understanding of how things work. Or maybe you find out something you thought was true, it doesn't really turn out to be true, or all those kinds of things. I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah. I think it's really fascinating. And I think, it's interesting when you're not coming from the perspective of defending your position.
Right.
And I think nowadays so many of us are so locked in to either side. We're just locked in. We don't, and neither side understands why the other side's locked in, because it all seems obvious to all of us. So anyway, no need to talk about it because it's a slippery slope into a larger discussion. But the point is, it's possible. And that's what happens when people are willing to sit together and have a conversation and entertain the possibilities.
I think it's another statement about community and spending time together and breaking bread together. I'm guessing, if they're together for 4 days, they had time to perhaps go play pickleball or something during the time. People connected, in a different way. And when you connect with someone and you have a sense of respect and care for them, it shifts how willing you are, I think, to listen to them, to, consider that they might know something that I don't, or they might have information I don't, or they might have a perspective based on the same information that shakes out differently but makes sense, whatever.
Yeah, there's a different opening.
Yeah, at least I know they're good people. And therefore, even if we don't end up agreeing on something, we can hear each other, and I think truly that is the struggle we see in politics, is just a total lack of willingness to see each other as people.
Okay.
It's all about defending one's own space.
Okay. And there you have it. We have slippery sloped into.
Did you want me to pontificate anymore?
No, thank you, Robyn and Gil. All right. So that is our good news. And we're just standing in that place of possibility. And we're going to stand in that place as we take a break. So take a minute, listen to our announcements, because there's a lot going on out there that I know you want to be a part of. And come right back here to New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Olmstead for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Olm Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
And we are back.
Hello.
Hi. This is Rockin the Love, and I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And we come to you every Wednesday. And we talk about the joy of relationship. And that brings us many different possibilities.
It does. Today we are talking about loss. And we're talking about saying goodbye to somebody when they leave us all too soon. So we are just going to explore some of the messy, magical, miraculous ways that love moves through our lives. And today's conversation is it's personal and it's tender and it's human, and it's one of the ways that we talk about things that sometimes are hard to talk about. So what do we do when someone leaves us on this earth plane too soon?
I'm going to leave you too soon and be right back.
I can tell. All right. How do we say goodbye when our hearts aren't ready and, weren't ready, and when the story feels unfinished and when the timing doesn't feel right? What do we do? So that's the conversation today that we're exploring, because even when a life ends, it doesn't mean the love ends, and it doesn't mean that you're not still in touch with the person, or that, you're not on each other's radars, whatever. We're going to talk about it. So here we are.
So, as most people know, we come from a fairly spiritual perspective on most of this stuff. And there's a reality that it's never easy. It seems, especially when it seems that someone goes too soon. And then also when there seems to be a a number of people leaving your life. That adds to it. And, when is too soon? Well, does it mean that someone dies as a baby? Does it mean someone dies in their teens? I mean, too soon can be anywhere along the path for the rest of us.
Well, yeah, too soon is a human perspective.
Right.
I mean, too soon is a human perspective, not a soul perspective. Because we're humans.
Yeah.
And so really, I'm very aware that the conversation becomes about us who are left here, So just for context, I had two people in our life we had two people in our life go into hospice this week, and it's Wednesday, and both have transitioned and left us. And one was closer than the other, and it doesn't matter. It's really just that movement that happens in our lives, because it causes, in my opinion, it causes us to be aware of our feelings and all that's going on for us on so many levels, not to mention the missing that the people leave.
Yes. And at the same time, I mean, I have to say that there's some positive feelings around time we did have, and things the chance that we had to see our one friend in December or January, and what a good time that was, and so getting the call and the reality is it's someone who's been dealing with health for a long time. So it wasn't as if no one ever thought this could happen. It's just that she fought so well for so long, you kind of got the feeling maybe she was never going to go, which is, again, that's our made up thing in our head, right? That's just the human thing of, I really don't want that to happen, so I'm going to believe it's not happening, and while she was able to be here for a long time, it's still a different, it still wasn't exactly when we thought. And she's relatively young, younger than us.
Speak for yourself.
Makes her earlier than me. But that, that makes it different, right? I mean, there's a perspective there. And sometimes I think maybe that's the difference, when someone goes and it's too soon, in part, it's when they're our age or younger that makes it feel that way.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really important is not going into spiritual bypass, which, if you don't know, means you ignore your feelings. You go to spiritual teachings that say, oh, it's all good all the time kind of thing. And you think, you just ignore what you're really feeling. And I think even though we know that there's a reason and a season and, a plan, a divine plan, and that everybody's going to pass away and all of those things, it's how do we, it doesn't mean it's not going to give us pause. It's not going to make emotions come up. It's not going to make us realize other things are happening. And I think that's what's important to look at is those stages, because
we live in a physical world, and we live in a state where we have physical relationships. So, there's something, we come together with people, we spend time with people, we have dinner with people, we, all these different kinds of things. Friendships are formed, we do activities. And so when one of them abandons the physical, if you will, the rest of us are left with the same physical realities, but we don't have the same way of sharing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it challenging. And of course, we all want to feel better, right? Everybody wants to feel better about whatever's going on in their life. So, we know that they're in a better place, and it's not that the soul ends, it's that they've made another transition, just as though they've transitioned and been born. They're now transitioning and being born into something else. And we can say all those things, and it's not that that's not true necessarily. It's just that doesn't address the reality of how I'm feeling.
Right. So for me, one of the first feelings I shared with Gil is that I was angry, even though I knew it was going to happen. I fully knew. I fully knew when I said to Gil, we have got to see our friend in December when we were there. Like,
yeah, you did.
We
That's
made
true.
a special trip to LA, which was like an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and detoured us from our path of getting home because we were driving home. And I knew, and our friend knew as well on some level. I'm pretty clear from the conversations that have been had that they said their goodbyes in their way. They had long conversations. The last conversation we had with her was about 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, where she could barely talk. And she said in the beginning, I can't talk because she had some respiratory stuff going on, and proceeded to talk to us for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I was like, you got to go. And she didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew. I mean, we knew.
Yeah. And she talked about her feelings of, going through the process, and, things were changing, and it's not feeling, as hopeful, if you will. It's not exactly what she said.
And she literally shared that she didn't know if she could do it anymore, that she was tired. And so I think she let everyone know on some level, where she was at. And which was great. But then when I heard, they were putting her in hospice and they were going to take her off machines, I was like so mad. I was so mad, and I was mad at her, not really, but in theory, but I was mad at her because she has this voice message where she's said for years, because it's like a super cute voice message where she goes, blah, 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 I'll call you back. Really, I will. And I was like, you will not, you're lying, you're never calling me back. And I had to move through that, because, I'm pretty woo-woo. So I did go, okay, I get it. We're going to talk in code. We're going to talk in different language. And then I was mad that she did it at opening day time in baseball, because we're big baseball pals. And I was like, of course she did. Because she doesn't want me to ever forget what the date of this is. She was big on celebrating birthdays, big on celebrating different things. And so I knew that this was somehow pre-planned, that she wasn't going into this baseball season with me in this way. And I also knew that her and another friend who recently transitioned, that talk a lot about baseball and basketball and sports, are both up there or wherever they are. And what I'm pretty clear about is the Dodgers will have a three-peat this year, if they have anything to say about it. So, yeah, but I was sad, and I was mad and I was angry, but it brought me to more tears than I've had in a long time. I mean, whatever it cracked open. And, so I think it's important to be with what goodbye really means, when we say goodbyes, and how it's not really goodbye. right? On some level, it's really, I don't know, some kind of transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, some kind of transition where the soul continues and we move into a different phase of understanding it.
Yeah, yeah, and what the thought is, and the belief of many of us is that the soul is eternal and it goes on forever, and whatever this soul is, this essence of one's personality and light, continues, and it has fascinating abilities to touch us even when we seem to be living in completely different worlds.
Say more about that.
Well, that we can feel or see or sense things from those who have passed on, even though we're here. Even though we can't see them, we can't, necessarily, or maybe we do see them, even more interestingly,
I didn't tell you this, so the other day I was sitting in my car, I'd driven somewhere, and I was like, okay, I just need a sign. Lisa Michelle, I just need you to give me a sign. And I was like, I'd had the logical conversation like, okay, take that radio station, because I know you're pre-programmed for the first songs anyway. She's not going to be able to give me a sign. And the first friggin' song was Rainy Night in Georgia, which reminded me of when we were on the Love train in Atlanta and it was raining outside. And like, I'm so mad now because I don't remember the exact story, but what I remember is she laughed at me for years and would tell this story about how our car got towed in Georgia and in Atlanta. And I was like, damn it, I need her to fill in the blanks, because I didn't remember, because I think I was the one that had the rental car. So of course I wanted to block it out. But she thought it was hysterical. So I was like, okay, I got it. I'm dealing with a higher power, not radio station programming.
And doesn't that make sense, since she never drove?
Yeah.
That would be the thing she'd remind you of?
Yeah. And that she thought it was very funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of times we have regrets too. And and that's where we want to, we want to forgive ourselves on some level. And,
want to forgive ourselves, I think, and do our best to allow enough of whatever that thing is in to support us in making any changes we feel like would be good in our current relationships. I mean, let not that thing that we feel guilty about be without meaning, without positive impact. And, rather than sitting around feeling guilty about it, apply it, figure out what to do with it, see how you can shift.
Well, you say that like it's easy. And I think what you're saying is really important. And the challenge is remembering that in your daily life, because we get into our routines and we forget.
Yeah. Well, the first step is to really allow yourself the grace to have screwed up somehow, or at least to have screwed up in a way you think you did. And over time, the potential is for redemption of that by allowing it to support you in not repeating it with other people, if at all possible.
Yeah, I'm going to reframe that a little, though, because I don't know that it's a screw up, because that to me feels super heavy. I think like there's just times where, like even those moments where you start to say something and you don't, and later you wish you did, or like how many times do you think about saying I love you and you don't, because you say it enough and you don't need to say it or whatever. I mean, I'm thinking about just like those little things, and like even as I think about this situation, it's not. I don't really have any regrets. Of course I wish we had more time together. You know, I regret that I didn't make her go to spring training with me because we had that plan. I regret that she missed that, but it's not like it's a my fault thing.
Right. You're right. There's different, and I sort of focused in on the one.
Yeah,
One
you focused
aspect.
in on the all about you.
Of course.
No, but I mean, I just think that I mean, especially in these situations, like the heaviness of taking that on, to me feels like it's not about them, and it becomes.
Well, but then they have supported you in moving on, I think, at some level. I think the other piece is that, even in the sense of being reminded that if your intuition says it's time to give someone a call, or it's time to make sure you make the trip, 2 hours out of your way on this particular trip, or whatever it is, and that you go, oh yes, I knew that, and I didn't trust myself to know it.
So following your intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, when you have regrets, also, what do you do with them? I think that's really important because you don't want to carry them. I mean, yes, you carry them forward as an awareness, but what can you do with them now? And I think there's still that way to share them or get them out, whether it's, obviously not particularly with the person, although no reason you can't talk to the person or write a letter or, celebrate them in that way and share those thoughts, those feelings. So it becomes important how we release it. How do we let go of those regrets or anything that we wish we'd said or wish we'd done?
It makes me think of, I don't know what we were doing. Actually, I think we were driving separate cars because we were taking one to the mechanic or something. And we were in LA, and I had a whole conversation with my dad in the car after he had transitioned. And it was like this really interesting, weird spot to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was plain as day. I mean, I just was talking to him like he was sitting right there.
And I think that's valuable. I think that's so important that we remember that that's possible, that we can do that.
Yeah, and we don't have to judge ourselves as nuts for doing it. I mean, we don't have to stop ourselves from some of these things because we think, oh, well, I don't know, that's not really how life works. And, forget about how life works. Do what works with where you are.
Yeah, and I also think, though, as we know, life is this continuum. It's also part of carrying them forward with us and carrying and I want to say that making sure that the lessons aren't for naught. That we really, if we can continue to have those conversations with them or reflect on the qualities that they left us or the situations we've had with them, then that's how we keep them alive in our hearts. And that's also how they continue to shape our lives and to be a part of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, and that's another way that we continue that relationship. We continue to both honor them, but even more that we allow them to to support us. We allow for the growth, etc., that they may have offered us during their physical life to continue to influence us as we go forward, and to continue to take those positive things forward with us.
Yes, because what we know is, well, what I know is that two things. I keep thinking about people this week who've told me about how beautiful it is on the other side, those that have had that experience. And, trusting and knowing that those that have passed or transitioned are truly in a better place. And one person who was speaking with me talked not a lot, but so passionately about how well she was going to do on the other side because of how beautiful it is, which is comforting. But like really, so it's like, how do we keep that alive in us? How do we keep that, those lessons that they've taught us alive, and just that live from that place of more boldly, more awake, more conscious living, knowing and the gifts that they've brought.
Yeah, and I think, well, I do think there's an element of time, and there's not a thought that there's some specific amount of time, but I think at some level we give ourselves permission to take the time that we need to move forward, to take the time that we need to work through the feelings, to allow the feel. We have to acknowledge whatever those feelings are. If we go straight to she's in such a more beautiful place and all that, without the other aspect of the feelings, then we have truly spiritually bypassed, because we've just painted over with the new color,
right.
And we haven't acknowledged that the old color has some chips and cracks, and we need to do some filling and sanding before we repaint. We need to address what's here before we begin creating the new reality of our relationship.
Yeah. So this is the contemplation. This is that place where we get to go within and hopefully, come out in a better place, knowing that that the person has gone, and they've left. I don't know. They've left too soon.
By whose standards? I mean,
I'm in the middle of a thought.
Okay, sorry.
They've left too soon for us, but they've left their love and their legacy to finish the work. And Lisa Michelle left a legacy of love and laughter and great spirit, and the world could use that.
Well, it made me think of our friend that called you after she made a transition, and has issues, and he's considerably older than she was, and they used to go, and she would go to baseball games and stuff. And I remember in the last couple of years, which we know is the time, she's part of the time when she was up and down, that she would talk about her concern about him and how he was doing. And, and so there's this unexpected way we interconnect sometimes. You know, it doesn't make sense that she's the one that's gone now in some ways, but then again, it is what it is. And wasn't it a beautiful thing to see her truly caring and truly honoring someone else's process in the midst of her own? And of course, we're all doing that to some degree. It's just more obvious sometimes than others, and it's more highlighted when we're struggling with something very particular.
Right. Right. So if you've lost somebody, if you're dealing with loss, if you've come to this space, we're just inviting you to really think about, the legacy that the person is leaving behind, and what they've taught you, and how they've changed you, and the ways that they still will influence your choices and your life, and just those different rituals and things that can keep them alive in your heart. And I'm going to leave you with this quote by Rumi that says, "Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes. For those who love with their heart, there is no separation."
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a place to think about, to be with, and to honor those that have gone before us, sending all love and to all of our ancestors and friends and family and that have gone before us. You want to add anything?
Just knowing that whatever you're feeling in that kind of a situation, it's okay. And love yourself, reach out to those who you feel safe with, etc., and allow them to support you. And I guess the piece to know is that if you can be gentle and know that and trust that it's okay to feel those things, you'll be able to work through them rather than get them stuck somewhere.
Yes, and there's lots of good people out there to be with, practitioners, ministers, all kinds of help and therapists and things that you can find along the way. If you need us, call us. And we're here for you. And that's also why there's a little QR code up in the top, because in order for us to still be here with you, we are loving and accepting all gifts that you send that other way, the other side. There you go. All gifts that you send to this QR code. What we're hoping for is monthly donors that will give continuously on a monthly basis. And it can, whether it's $5, $10, $25, if you can give $25 a month, then we need at least 4 donors to do that. So whatever you can do is super helpful. And please pay.
And that helps us to support the network, and then the network to support our show. And in addition to that, any money that comes in helps the network so that other shows can also be supported down the road. So,
and by that, part of that is getting it all out into the world, because as you know, the world needs a positive thought, and our shows are geared towards not only the positive, but the realness of what's happening in the world, and ways that everybody can become more empowered and more
compassionate, more loving. We want to be an example of a different way of living than what you will see if you turn on many other networks.
There you go. So All that said,
an alternative.
we're so happy you were here with us today. And we just honor life as we know it right here, right now in this form. And all of those that have gone before, thank you so much for going before and leading the way. And Lisa and Michelle, we'll see you when we get there. Rock the love, everybody.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought, Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Olmstead Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.